Dear students, in this chapter we will discuss about the derivation of current electricity. Okay, so the first topic of this one is the expression for drift velocity. So the first expression for the drift velocity is, so first we understand what is the drift velocity. So whenever a potential difference is applied across the ends of conductors, okay, then one end become positive, that is high potential, while the other end becomes the negative, that is the low potential, and the electrons moves from the low potential to the high potential. Now the direction of electron is now fixed. They are moving from the low potential to the high potential. So during this there is a large number of collision will take place between the electrons and the positive charge ions. So the average velocity by which an electron moves inside the conductor is called drift velocity. I will repeat it as the average velocity by which an electron moves inside the conductor when potential difference is applied, it is called drift velocity. So now the expression for the drift velocity is, you can say, when we apply the potential difference across the ends of conductor, then on the each electron the force will act. The expression for force is given as F is equal to minus small e into capital E. Here the small e represent the charge of electron, while capital E represent the electric field intensity. The direction of motion of electron is opposite to the direction of electric field, so we have put the negative sign. Okay, we see there is a negative sign, that is it is due to the because the electrons are moving in the opposite direction of the electric field. Let me mention here that the direction of electric field is from high potential to low potential, and the electrons are moving from low potential to high potential. Now this force will accelerate the electrons. This force will accelerate the electron, that is F is equal to ma. Okay? So we equate these two equations, that is F is equal to ma and F is equal to minus small e into capital E, which represent the electric field intensity. If we equate them, then we can find the expression of the acceleration, that is ma is equal to minus small e into capital E, or we can say the acceleration is equal to minus small e into capital E upon that is the m. So if you now see the value of acceleration in the last slide is the a is equal to minus small e into capital E upon m. Now we are using the first equation of motion. The first equation of motion is v is equal to u plus at. So here the t is written as that is called relaxation time. Okay, now? So whenever the electrons move inside the conductor in the presence of electric field, then it collides with the other, sometimes with the positive ions and the other electrons. So the average time interval between the two successive collision, is called the relaxation time. Generally in the books it is represented by the symbol tau, but I have written is here as t. Okay, So we will use the first equation of motion, and since all the electrons starts from its initial velocity, that is 0, so we'll write it as v is equal to a into t, or we can say tau is there. Now what we'll do, we will put the value of acceleration in this equation. So if you look at the third line, that is the v is equal to minus small e into capital E into t upon m. Okay, so this is the one expression for the drift velocity of electron, that is in terms of electric field, that is v is equal to minus small e into capital E into t upon m. If you look at the books, then they are representing the v as a vd and t as a tau. You can also use this thing. Okay, we can also express this part into terms of the potential difference and the length of the conductor. We can also represent this the expression formula for drift velocity in terms of the potential difference and the length of the conductor, because in the chapter of potential we have studied about the relation between the electric field intensity and the electric potential, that is potential difference. The electric field intensity is equal to E is equal to potential difference upon the length of conductor. Now this time okay, E is equal to minus dV upon dy, we have already studied it. Now this time we are using E is equal to V upon L, where V represent the potential difference across the ends of conductor, while L is represent the length of the conductor. So if we put this expression for E, electric field intensity, in the formula of drift velocity, then you can look at the formula will become, that is Vd is equal to minus small e capital V tau, or we can say t upon m into L. So the drift velocity of an electron depend upon some factors. The first factor is that is the potential difference. If you see, it is the potential difference is in the numerator. Okay, then another thing is the relaxation time, and the third one is the length of the conductor. So in the next slide we will discuss how it depends. So now we will discuss how the drift velocity depend upon the different factors. In the last slide I have discussed about the formula for the drift velocity. Vd is equal to minus small e v into tau, or we say t oblique m into L. Here E is the charge of electron. So the value of charge of electron is same for all the elements, and m is the mass of electron, so it is also same for all the conductor elements. The difference is will occur here now, depend upon the one is the potential difference, that is represented by the symbol capital V. Another one is the tau or t, that is the relaxation time, and the third one is the length of the conductor. Okay, now if you see the formula of drift velocity, then we find out that the potential difference is in the numerator. So we can write it as the drift velocity of electron is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across the ends of conductor. I will repeat it again. The drift velocity of the electrons is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across the ends of the conductor. If we increase the potential difference, then what will happen? The drift velocity of electrons will increase. The second one is the the drift velocity depend upon the relaxation time. Okay, now again if we see the formula, that is drift velocity and the time period they are now directly proportional. If we see that the relaxation time tau or t occurs in the numerator, so the drift velocity is directly proportional to the relaxation time. The third one property is for the length of conductor. So for length of conductor, if we see that the length of conductor is in the denominator, so it means the drift velocity is inversely proportional to the length of the conductor. It means if there is no change in the potential difference and there is no change in the rise of temperature or the temperature of the conductor, then the drift velocity is inversely proportional to the length of the conductor. Okay, So the next one we will study about the Ohm's law. The next important derivation of this chapter for current electricity is the Ohm's law. The first important point is the statement of the Ohm's law. So I will read on it. The statement is that at constant temperature, if physical condition of the wire remain same, then the current passing through the conductor is directly proportional to potential difference applied across the ends of the conductor. So here the three conditions are there. One, that is constant temperature. Second, the condition of physical condition remains same, means we should not change the length of the conductor, we should not change the cross section area of the conductor, and even we should not change the material. Then at the constant temperature, the amount of current passing through the conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across the ends of conductor. We can also define it like this, that the current passing through the conductor is proportional to the potential difference applied. Okay, so we'll write it as I is proportional to V, or we can say V is equal to IR, where R is the constant, where R is the constant, and R is called the resistance of the conductor. It is called the resistance of the conductor. Okay, and for this formula the value of R is constant. I am repeating the value of R is constant because if we double the potential difference across the ends of conductor, then the only current will double. Remember this thing, and then the current will double. There is no change in the resistance. Similarly, if we make the potential difference 3 times of the initial value, then the current will become the 3 times and the resistance will remain same. So if we plot the graph between the V and I, there is a straight line which there is a straight line between the potential axis and the current axis. Okay, we have studied in the class 10th. This is okay. So now we prove the derivation for the Ohm's law. So for this we will use the two formulas. One, the relation between the current and the drift velocity. I am repeating, the relation between current and the drift velocity, that is I is equal to NEA VD, where I is the electric current, N is the number of electrons per unit volume, or we can say the electron density represented by the small n. Small e is the charge of electron, A is the cross section area of the wire, and Vd is the drift velocity of the electron. Okay, so now the another formula for the drift velocity and the electric field is, that is Vd is equal to minus small e capital E small t upon m. Here E is the charge of electron, E is the electric field intensity, t is the relaxation time, and m is the mass of electron. First we convert the formula of electric field intensity into the potential difference. So by using the relation, the electric field intensity is equal to E is equal to V by L, where V is the potential difference and L is the length of conductor. Now we put this part into the formula of the drift velocity. So the formula of drift velocity will become Vd is equal to E capital V into T upon ml. Here E is the charge of electron, V is the potential difference, T is the time, m is the mass of electron, and L is the length of conductor. So now what I will do it right now, we will put the formula of Vd, this formula of Vd in terms of potential difference into the relation of current, that is I is equal to NEA Vd. So the formula will become V is equal to ml I upon NE square tau into A. Okay, I will repeat it as V is equal to ml I upon n e square tau upon a, or if we separate the two terms V and I on the left hand side, we can write it as V upon I is equal to, that will become ml upon n e square tau into a. So if we again read the statement of the Ohm's law, that the temperature is constant means the relaxation time is constant, length physical condition is constant means length and the cross section area is constant, the rest part are the mass of electron and the charge of electron on the right hand side. So all the total quantity on the right hand side is constant. It means the V upon I is equal to constant, or we can say V is equal to IR. Here R is the, or we can say in terms of mass and the length of conductor and the free electron densities, R is equal to ml upon n e square tau into a. So on the next slide, next part I will tell you how does the formula of resistance will come from the Ohm's law. Now we will discuss the factors on which the resistance or the resistance of the conductor depend. So from the derivation of Ohm's law, the formula for the resistance is R is equal to ml upon n e square tau into a, where m is the mass of electron, L is the length of conductor, n is the free electron density of the material, and small e is the charge of electron, tau is the relaxation time, and capital A is the cross section area of the wire. So what is the next part is the, I have written it as R is equal to rho L upon A. Okay, na? So the resistance of wire depend upon mainly three factors. One, that is directly proportional to the length of the wire. So greater the length of the wire, more the resistance. The second one is the cross section area of the wire, and if you see in the formula, the cross section area is in the denominator of the formula. So the resistance is inversely proportional to the cross section area of the wire. It means if we increase the cross section area, then the resistance will decrease. The third one is the resistivity, or we can say the material. So the resistance of wire also depend upon the resistivity of the material, and the another name for the resistivity is the specific resistance. Now here the few conceptual questions will form. Now listen very carefully. The first question is, how does the resistance of wire will change if the length of conductor is doubled while keeping the cross section area same? The answer for this question is the resistance will become double. The second question is, how does the resistance of wire will change if cross section area is made half of the original while keeping the length same? And it means the one wire is replaced with the another wire of same length but the half of the cross section area. The answer for this one is the resistance of wire will become double. Third one is if the wire is heated. So we remember in the case of conductor and the alloys, the resistance will increase. While in the case of semiconductor, electrolyte and insulator, the resistance will decrease by the rise of temperature. This I have already discussed in our earlier video. Okay, so I doesn't require here to discuss again. Okay, and the next question is how does the resistance of wire will change if the length of wire is doubled by stretching? So whenever you find this, that the word is stretching is there, so there will be change in the two parameters. One, the length will become double, and the another is the cross section area will become half of the original. It means the resistance of wire will become 4 times the original. For this convenience, you can use the formula R dash is equal to, R nu is equal to n square times R. N square means whatever the change is in the length of the wire. Okay, suppose the length will become twice, then put n is equal to 2, the resistance will become 4 times. The next question is now the wire is melted and redrawn such that the cross section area is made twice the original. I am repeating the question. The wire is melted and redrawn such that the cross section area is made twice the original. then what will happen when the cross section is equal twice the original, then the length of wire become half. So the new resistance will become 1/4 times of the initial one. The new resistance will become 1/4 times of the initial one. This you can solve in your notebooks and match this answer. Okay. So now we discuss the factors on which the resistivity of the material depend. If we look at the formula, that is the resistivity, rho is equal to m upon ne square tau. Here m is the mass of electron, n is the number of free electron density, which is represented by the symbol n, small e is the charge of electron, and the tau is the relaxation time. So already we know that the mass of electron and charge of electron is same for each and every element where the electron exists. So the resistivity depend upon the two main factor. One, it is inversely proportional to the number of free electron density, that is small n, and it is inversely proportional to the relaxation time. In the case of conductor and the alloys, they are made up of metal, and alloys are also made up of metals. It has a large number of free electrons. They have a large number of free electrons. So when we heat up the substance or the element, what will happen? There is almost no change in the number of free electron density in the metals and the alloys. There is almost no change in the number of density of electrons and in the case of metal and alloys, but due to increase of collisions, the relaxation time decreases. And in the formula, the relaxation times is in the denominator. So the resistivity of metal and the alloys increases by the rise of temperature. The another part is what will happen for the semiconductor and the insulators. So the answer for these two part is the second part is, in the case of semiconductor and the insulator, by the rise of temperature, the dominating factor is the increase of the number of charge carrier. The dominating factor is the increase the number of charge carrier compared to the relaxation time. So by the increase of free electron densities and free electron charge carriers, the resistivity and the value of n will increase, the resistivity will decrease. So remember, while solving the questions, be alert whether the question is for the metal alloys or it is for the insulator or the say semiconductor. In the case of metal alloys, the resistivity will increase while by the rise of temperature, while in the case of semiconductor and the insulator, the resistivity will decrease because the number of charge carrier will increase by the rise of temperature. Now we will discuss some question based on the graph. That is, graph is for the resistance. Okay. So graph is plotted between the current and the potential difference. The current is on the y-axis and the potential difference is on the x-axis. There are two. The graph is plotted for the two different resistance wire, shown by the R1 and R2. R2 is by the red line, while the R1 is for the green line. The first question arises here is which wire has the more resistance. The first question is which wire has the more resistance. To answer this question, we have two different methods. The first method is to find the slope with the I-axis. To find the slope with the I-axis, if we see the current axis is on the y-axis, current is drawn on the y-axis. So if we take the angle of R1 and R2 from the current axis, the value for the R2 is greater than will be the value of with the R1. The value of R2 is greater than the R1. Okay. The second question rises here is in the last graph, which resistance will have the more length? There is another question. So we know the formula of the relation between the resistance and the length of the conductor, that is the resistance is equal to R is equal to rho L upon A. It means that the resistance of conductor is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. So it means the wire which has the more resistance will have the greater length. So the resistance R2 will have more length compared to the R1 if other parameters are the constant. The second one part is the one more question arises here, which wire has the more cross section area. The answer for this one is we will write the relation between the resistance and the cross section area of the wire, that is R is equal to rho L upon A. Now the resistance of wire is inversely proportional to cross section area. It means the wire which have the less resistance will have more cross section area. It means the answer is R1. The third question is here, which wire has the more resistivity? So again we will write the formula R is equal to rho L upon A. It means the resistance of the conductor is directly proportional to the resistivity of the material. So again the resistance of R2 is more than the R1. So the resistivity of the material of R2 wire is more than the R11. Then again someone will ask you the question, the which wire will show R1 and R2 will show the series combination and the parallel combination. So we know that when the resistance are arranged in the series combination, the equivalent resistance is more than the each resistance. It means in this figure the R2 will represent the series combination while R1 will represent the parallel combination. Okay, so the next the remaining part we will discuss in the next video. Okay, so you can solve more questions and we can say thank you at this point.